From WSB TV, Atlanta, Georgia's news leader. This is Channel 2's Action News with Monica Kaufman, Don Farmer, Glenn Burns Weather, Chuck Dowdle Sports, and the Action News team.
There was a mad rush at Hartsfield Airport today after the victory celebration by the Democrats.
The Democrats may be gone, but the protesters, they are still around.
And a restructuring by Eastern Airlines leaves hundreds of Atlanta workers without jobs.
But our top story tonight, so long Atlanta Hello campaign trail.
Michael Dukakis and his running mate Lloyd Bentsen began a three-day campaign swing just a few hours after the Democratic convention here in Atlanta was over. This afternoon, the Democratic ticket partners arrived in Texas. Also, they'll be stumping in California, Missouri, North Dakota, and Pennsylvania this week. Before they left Atlanta, they offered one more show of unity. We have team coverage now, and we begin with our political reporter, Bill Nugget.
I woke up this morning after about 4 hours sleep and came to one very profound conclusion. Winning is better than losing, believe me.
It is just that realization which got Michael Dukakis out of bed and back to work early this morning. In a series of hurried stops around Atlanta, he told a breakfast gathering of the city's convention host committee he was pleased with the convention here.
There was something about Atlanta and this convention that went together. There was something about Atlanta and this convention that went together.
He asked for support at a meeting of some 2,000 Jackson backers, and he visited a house that the Bricklayers Union will soon give away to a homeless Atlanta family to demonstrate the need for affordable housing. It was a return by Dukakis to the day-in, day-out rigors of campaigning.
I accept your nomination for the presidency of the United States.
But last night, Dukakis got a big emotional boost when he gave his acceptance speech to a jubilant crowd at the Omni. By noon today, Dukakis and Lloyd Bentsen were boarding an airplane for their first trip of the general election campaign. Dukakis says he is ready for the big push.
We've got about 110 days, that's it. And all this comes to a conclusion, and it's going to be a great conclusion on the 8th of November.
Vic Carter tells us that Jesse Jackson leaves Atlanta with a big slice of victory, too.
It's so clear now there's no stopping us. We're going all the way. It's just a matter of time, and time is on our side.
When the Reverend Jesse Jackson addressed his staff this morning, he told them, as he has for weeks now, don't give up hope. Jackson says with the right attitude, winning the presidency is still a possibility in years to come.
I may or may not make it, but our children will. That's the deal.
Jackson came to Atlanta hoping to be nominated for president, but his mission was much broader than that. Here's the result of his ability to parlay votes into political power. Jackson leaves Atlanta having successfully negotiated for 2 minority positions on the DNC's executive committee, 10 at-large seats, including one for his son, Jesse Jackson Jr., and a host of positions on credentials. Having done that, he gave members of his Rainbow Coalition marching orders to support the Dukakis-Bentsen ticket.
Oh, yes, we got to support it. After all, I'm a Democrat, and this is what we're all about.
There may be a little, I guess, negative feelings at this point, but I think by and large they will participate because we are inclusive in the process.
Jackson himself will begin registering new voters right away for the Democratic Party across the country.
We're just an attitude away from the White House.
So Jesse Jackson leaves Atlanta having made significant impact on the Democratic Party and with hopes of making even more changes in the future. Vic Carter, Channel 2 Action News.
Jesse Jackson will stay here in Atlanta through tonight and until tomorrow. Sources say he will be making some fundraising efforts here for his campaign debt and for the Rainbow Coalition. Reverend Jackson will return to his home in Chicago later tomorrow.
For much of today, the exodus of the conventioneers jammed southbound expressways and Hartsfield Airport. As they left town, the conventioneers gave Atlanta its final report card. Don McClellan reports.
Hope that it gets to Tulsa.
Delegate Lloyd Martin of Oklahoma with thousands of other conventioneers packing and preparing to leave Atlanta.
Would you like to come back here another year for a convention?
Yes, I would.
Some of the delegates brought their vans or cars, but most packed their bags aboard the free shuttle buses to Hartsfield. With the out-of-towners trying to get to the airport, the traffic jam on the downtown expressway came a little earlier than usual today. This backup on the downtown connector was around 1 p.m. Also a jam at the airport for much of the day. Aside from the hot weather, the only complaint we heard is what we've been hearing since before Atlanta got the convention.
The Omni could have been a little bigger.
What we kept hearing over and over is what we hope is true when we have guests in our homes.
People were friendly. Last night some people came up to us and said they hoped that we had a good time and they hoped that we were treated well here, and it was really very impressive.
And probably the main thing is people. I've never been treated any nicer with a group of people.
One volunteer hostess to the conventioneers returned the compliment. The hostess said the old saying that guests like fish begin to smell after 3 days was not true with the people she met. She wants them back in '92. Don McClellan, Channel 2 Action News.
The Omni, which took months to prepare for the Democrats, is being cleared out in a matter of days. From the moment the convention ended, an army of men and women has been tearing down everything the Democrats and the news media put up. Broadcast booths are coming out along with miles of television cable. At the World Congress Center, where news media members worked for the past week, the pace is just as fast.
Describe the last 12 hours.
Very hectic, very hectic. We've been 15, 18 hours a day ever since we've been here. Been here 2 weeks.
Your eyes starting to droop?
Eyes were drooping a week ago.
Workers have to clear out the Omni by the end of next week in time for the next event there, a computer show.
Do you know how you feel when house guests finally leave? A big sigh of relief. Now that the convention is over, people who work in the area of the Omni are glad things are returning to normal. Channel 2's Lynn Harrison says city workers were out early reopening the streets that were the sites of traffic jams as late as yesterday.
The barricades that blocked the Omni in the World Congress Center all week were unceremoniously torn down and carted away. Traffic flowed freely on Marietta and International Boulevard, streets that had been closed all week. In fact, there was no rush to rush hour traffic this morning.
Our job was to troubleshoot our plan, and there was a lot fewer problems than I thought there were going to be.
Even politicians like Fulton County Commission Chairman Michael Lomax were glad the streets had reopened.
Well, it's great to be able to go two ways on the streets again. I'll tell you, I couldn't figure out how to get to the Omni last night and yesterday. It's been the worst traffic jam in the world. Now that it's over, we can tell the truth. I'm glad it's over.
7 bus routes had to be rerouted during the convention. Although the buses were back on schedule this morning, many drove by empty.
For all the people who complained because the MARTA Omni station was closed, not that many people used it this morning.
We only saw a handful of people getting off here, but those who did were grateful.
Are you relieved to have the Omni station open again?
Oh, yes, because it's a big help.
Instead of taking the train in, I'd stop at 5 Points and walk down International Boulevard, which was interesting during the convention, but it was also hot. It was a bad time. I'm glad it's back open.
This $4,000 worth of sticky yellow tape that made Spring Street temporarily two-way was pulled up and thrown away. Life is as back to normal as can be in downtown Atlanta. Lynn Harrison, Channel 2 Action News.
I was struck by the comments of everybody as they were leaving about the friendliness here. I mentioned this on one of our newscasts earlier in the week, but not everybody heard it, I suppose. A New York reporter, big-time reporter, came up to one of our local Democratic politicians here and said, I got to ask you a question. Everywhere I go in this town, people say, hi, can I help you? Hi, is there anything I can do for you? He said, what's the scam here? What's the scam? He thought it was all some kind of a confidence game.
Well, it's typically Welcome South brothers and sisters. You know, the convention was fun, but I am just like everybody else. I'm glad they're gone.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and I can wait another 4 years to get them back.
I like McClellan's line, after 3 days, like old food, it starts to smell.
Like fish, it starts to smell after 3 days.